smashing.
So we're just here, and on the line we've got Mandy.
Hello.
I'm not going to introduce Mandy. I'm going to let her do that herself, because I just wouldn't do you justice for what you do. So tell us who you are, and what you're doing now. No doubt some people will recognise you, because you were quite a big part of Gateshead at some point.
Yes. Well, I left Gateshead Pain Service. I think it's about 2 years now, and I'm working for a company called Connect Health, and I'm still working in pain management. I'm the lead nurse there, and again, just absolutely loving working in pain. And I worked out that this is my 28th year working in pain management. So great that I'm still going and still loving it, still working as well.
A little bit experienced.
And I've got pain myself as well, which I do share from time to time. So I do relate to, you know, the things that the patients go through. I suppose it's been a bit like if you're a midwife and you haven't had any children and you're looking after people who are pregnant, there can sometimes be a few challenges, not knowing what the experience is like. So yes,
it's hard, isn't it? Being able to empathise with people and being able to just have a better understanding.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So at the moment, tell us what your role consists of and what you do to help people.
So at the minute, I'm working for the fantastic Lincolnshire Pain Service. So I'm the lead nurse and the clinical lead down there, and also I've got a lead nurse role within Connect Health as well nationally. So I'm still seeing patients, helping them to understand their pain, and also helping them to, you know, in conjunction come up with a good management plan for them. And also we're trying to do a lot more education and training for patients, because sometimes just getting to grips, understanding pain a lot more can be just so reassuring, and it can help you to feel like you've got some control.
Yeah, obviously, you know, I've worked a little bit in pain as well, and I think that's the biggest thing that's missing is the education.
Yeah.
I like telling people how to do stuff and what they should do, and I've given them advice, but if they don't have the understanding, then they struggle to buy into what you're telling them, you know, and that's the biggest thing for anything. You mentioned like management plans and stuff like that, and everything now is going around self-management, you know, how can people
absolutely
conditions better, but without that education and without that understanding, it's really hard to get somebody to change the habits or change the behaviours.
It is, and it does take quite a few weeks to actually develop a positive habit. You know, just with, I remember when I got my new car and I didn't have a key to shove in the lock. It probably took me about 2 or 3 months to stop trying to do that. So it does take a while to build habits into kind of working in a different way and thinking more about yourself and how the things you can do, how that can actually have a big impact on reducing your pain.
Yeah, I think most of the research now suggests around about 12 weeks to form a new habit, doesn't it?
That's right, yes.
And if you think that's quite a long time, although that could be about the amount of time that we're stuck indoors at the minute. So
I know.
New habits why we can. So I've got 2 questions for you. Oh, I know you've answered a few. The first one I've got is, what top 3 things or advice would you give people to help manage their pain?
Well, it's a really good question, and I couldn't really pin it down to 3. So I've shoved an extra one in. So I've done 4, top 4. So I'm sneaking an extra one in. I would say the top one from my point of view and what I see in clinic and what I've seen for many, many years and experienced myself as well is the problems people develop when they don't move very much. So I've just had somebody in clinic who's been sitting for probably about 90% of the day. So he doesn't have much pain when he's not moving, but when he starts to move, his pain goes through the roof. And essentially what's happened is that the muscles around his spine have gone extremely short and tight, and we call that muscle deconditioning, but it drives pain significantly. And the best way I can explain that is if you were to hold your fist in a tight grasp for a period of time, eventually you'll start to get pain in that. And that's exactly what happens to the muscles around the body. They'll go really short and tight, but start to generate a lot of pain. And they also squeeze the nerves that travel through the muscles. So not only do you have more general pain, but you can also have more nerve pain, like shooting and burning and pins and needles. So I would say my top tip is to move regularly. And that would be every 20 minutes, 30 minutes, changing your position, but also making sure that you're not doing anything for too long. So you're not standing for too long, sitting for too long, lying for too long, walking for too long.
Good. You don't know anywhere that does exercise classes or anything people could go to, do you, Mandy?
I can recommend a smashing lad, the Life Program.
So that's number
and
one.
That's something I've been trying to find in my new job, somebody to replicate all the fantastic work that you do.
So that was number one, move more.
Yeah.
So what's number two?
Second one I've touched on a little bit, and it's the 2 P's, planning and pacing. So what we find is if people plan their activities, they plan what they want to do, then it's much better from a pain point of view, because you're less likely to get severe flare-ups. So for example, last year I worked with a lady who wanted to take her grandson sightseeing around London. So I said to her, it would be really good if you make a plan. So plan where you're going to be walking to, then stop and have a rest, get the flask out, get the sandwiches out. Then again, plan another area to visit. But remembering the 4 rules, which is don't stand, don't sit, don't lie, don't walk for too long, and building that into your plan. And it's worthwhile doing that perhaps on a night time when you're thinking about what you're going to do the next day. And again, trying to make sure you're pacing your activities. Yeah. So coming on to pacing, if you do...
I think we're planning, Mandy, well, at the minute, it's so important for people to have a plan and a structure throughout the day, because I mean, a lot of people are saying, oh, I'm just going to be sitting, or I'm just going to be stuck in the house, or I'm just going to be doing certain things, you know. So yeah, I think planning is very important, and having structure around that plan as well.
Yes.
Still having
definitely
flexibility. So not beating yourself up if the plan doesn't go exactly to what you...
Yes. And I think that's a good point as well. And pacing your activities, so not doing one thing for too long, but also pacing your inactivity. So making sure you're not sitting or lying for too long. So changing your activities and not doing one thing for too long will significantly help reducing flare-ups.
Yeah, great, excellent. So 2 down, 2 to go.
Yes, so next one is safety, patient safety. It's a massive thing, big on my agenda, big on the NHS agenda, big on everybody's agenda. And we want to keep people safe. And some of the things I've seen a little bit too often, unfortunately, is people having over-reliance on taking too many medications, perhaps even extra ones that haven't actually been prescribed in that way. Also taking a lot of alcohol with medication. Also not having enough fluids, drinking too much caffeine-based fluids, which has a big impact on pain medication, and also not having a wonderful diet. I've just seen 2 people recently where their diet hasn't been very good at all. They've not had much appetite. So they've been going long periods without eating, but then they've been eating the wrong things. And I've just had their bloods checked, and they've all developed a level of malnutrition. I mean, you wouldn't actually think that would happen in this day and age, but again, having a balanced diet and having the right foods, the right fluids, has a big impact on pain, because if your vitamin D is low, your pain will be worse. Again, if your folate, your folic acid levels are low, your B12 is low, it will have a big impact on your pain. So safety is so important, and making sure that you take your medicines as prescribed. Don't be tempted to take extra. You won't get any extra pain relief. You'll just get more side effects and toxicity, but also significant damage to kidneys and liver. And again, I've seen that so many times, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think everybody's always searching for that little bit extra, aren't they?
Yes.
Sometimes it's not extra we need, it's less, you know, less junk food, less sort of less medication, less whatever, you know, and that's something that I think a lot of people strive don't think about, you know, it's thinking outside the box a little bit, isn't it? We always want more, sometimes less.
Yeah, there's a lady on the Live Well with Pain website called Louise Traherne, and she's put a 20-minute video on that website, and she's talked about her journey weaning off morphine, and also how she's been able to slowly increase her activity. She developed an opioid-induced hyperalgesia, which is a bit of a posh way of saying our morphine levels were very high, but it was making our pain worse. But the video she's got on there is amazing. She's also set up a Facebook page, which, again, I can send you the link for, Richie, which is to help anybody and support them with weaning off morphine, weaning off gabapentin or pregabalin or other drugs. And I refer quite a few of my, or rather direct my patients in her direction to join the Facebook site, because it's really brilliant, good support.
Yeah, and we can't have enough of that. We can never have enough support.
That's it. And actually, that's a very good link to my point 4, which is my 4th top tip. It's something that we've mentioned already, which is connecting and support. And it's really difficult in these times because we can't meet up and we can't see each other face to face and have a cup of tea and a cup of coffee and catch up as we as humans instinctively want to do. And that's in all of us. You know, we're designed to talk, we're designed to be sociable. So it's really amazing and fantastic, Richie, that you're doing these little videos to help to keep everybody connected. And connection is really important because, as anybody watching this video will know, when you were first on your journey managing your long-term pain, it's very isolating. You might not have any friends or family around you that really understand what it's like to have long-term pain. So to be able to connect with people who are in the same position as you is so powerful. And I'm just in the process of trying to link up one of my Lincolnshire patients with somebody in the north who's been in exactly that same situation. So again, that connecting up, it's so powerful. The other thing I want to mention as well is about being kind to yourself. And as people with long-term pain, what I find, and I found over many years, is that people are very hard on themselves. So they'll really beat themselves up, make themselves feel guilty, have those conversations in your head on a night time. Well, I should have done this and I should have done that, and I'm useless and I'm this and I'm that. And we're so much harder on ourselves than we would ever be with our own friends and family. So just being kind to yourself and making sure that you've got, you know, something to look forward to, some treats. You know, you're going to make sure you have that lovely relaxing bath. You know, you're going to have that lovely hot chocolate. You're going to connect with somebody you might not have connected with for a while. But just being kind to yourself and giving yourself permission to do that, because you need to be there to support your friends and family, but you also need to look after yourself as well.
Yeah.
And again, other things like physical and mental health are so important as well. And, you know, one of the things I've found that has worked, not just for me, but for my patients, is mindfulness. It's really good to help reduce anxiety, improve sleep, and reduce pain. So keep connected, keep linked up, and look after yourselves, and give yourself permission to be kind to yourself.
I think them things are really good for people with pain, but I think they're really good for everyone, aren't they? Stay connected.
Well, they are, yeah.
Look after yourself, have a little bit of self-care, and do them sorts of things. Just getting interrupted off the kids. But be connected the best you can, talk to people, share your problems. And having these link ups and different groups and support groups, you find out you're not alone, you know.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Through this, and I'm not the only one on this journey. And just that sort of feeling of togetherness or support then can really make a difference. So obviously we've spoke about general pain management. Is there anything that you would suggest for this very moment in time when everybody's quite isolated and stuck in the house and stuff like that, or is there anything that you want to suggest, Don? Theo's just working out send messages on WhatsApp, like, so.
Oh.
And I can call 5. any amount of people at the same time.
Oh, fabulous.
Less than 5.
Wow.
5 or any number less than 5.
Great. And there's Oscar.
Hi, Oscar.
So yeah, anything that you suggested for people to do now more so than ever before? I think I know what you mean.
Yes. Well, all of the things I mentioned, all my 4 top tips. Also, when people are very stressed and worried and anxious, and these are so difficult times, we've never had to deal with anything like this at the minute. Just make sure, again, that you've got a toolbox, you've got a flare-up plan. What are the things that have worked for you in the past that have helped you to get through your flare-up plan? I've mentioned 4 areas already that will help with that. But even things like boosting your own natural endorphins, like picking up an old photo album that was a really happy time, and it can give you such a big boost. One of my old Gateshead patients, I remember when she wasn't keen to meet up on one occasion as one of our groups because she was feeling so low and her pain was bad. She came along anyway, and just that boost of connecting with people and, you know, laughing and doing something positive had a massive impact on her day of reducing her pain, more than you would ever think was possible. And also, what I'd like to say to everybody listening who has got pain, well done, because you all have 100% track record of getting through all of your flare-ups. You've got through every flare-up you've ever had. It might have been difficult and it might have been an awful time, but you've done it and you can do it again. But it's even better if you've got a flare-up plan and you've got a little toolbox of your top things, top tricks that have worked for you.
Good. So last one that I've got for you. What resources or things that people could access online, especially at this moment in time, are you aware of, or links to websites or anything like that? And then anything you mention, I'll also post underneath this video as well.
Brilliant. So yes, well, definitely your website, Richie, that's got to be top of the list, the Life Programme. There's also the other website I always recommend with patients wherever they are around the country, which is the Pain Toolkit website, and that's paintoolkit.org. There's the livewellwithpain.co.uk website, which again has got top tips for managing pain, but it's also got some extra information around medications.
Right.
It's got an opioid zone, which is really helpful, and you've also got Louise's video there as well. I've also got a brilliant link to some free mindfulness tracks as well that I think I might have already sent you. And again, mindfulness is just something so powerful that can help with pain and anxiety, and also improving your sleep. But you have to do it every day for it to have an effect. Yeah. Michael Mosley from the BBC, he's a big fan of it, and he said it's been the one thing that's helped his insomnia after having 25 years of trying different lotions and potions. I've also got a variety of really good books that I've come across over the years that are really helpful around pain and around anxiety and mood, because again, the two are really closely linked with from a physiological point of view. And also the other thing I would say, and you might support us on this, Richie, is Twitter. I've learned so much and still do every day by going onto Twitter and linking into some of the sites there. Facebook's slightly different, which is kind of more family and friends orientated, but Twitter seems to have much more of a kind of educational signposting link, which I think is great. I've learned loads from doing that. So
great stuff. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been nice talking to you, and I'm sure that
yes, and you.
Plenty of stuff there for people to go away and learn from. But yeah, it's been great. Cheers.
Yes, and hello